past, you know. I didn't know it was him.
A big reason Marvel characters have connected with audiences for years is the complicated motivations of its heroes. Characters like Iron Man and Spider-Man are not the perfect embodiment of good. They have flaws and desires that run outside the need to selflessly protect others. In their lowest moments, heroes have moments of selfishness or hatred that lead them to look more like villains than heroes.
Gorgeous. How long does it take for you to regenerate?
Regenerate?
With the exception of one or two notable cases, these are learning lessons for the heroes. But that doesn't take back the collateral damage from the mistakes. Whether it was from clouded judgment or rage caused by overwhelming grief, these are the times heroes acted like villains.
Have you been juicing? A little vibranium cocktail? You're looking, I don't want to say puffy.
You're stalling to protect the people.
Well, that is the mission. Did you forget?
I've moved beyond your mission. I'm free.
Number 10. Tony Stark, Iron Man 2.
When I get asked most often is, Tony, how do you go to the bathroom in the suit? Just like that.
Tony Stark is growing reckless in Iron Man. Upon learning that the core reactor that's keeping him alive is also slowly poisoning him, Tony becomes overwhelmed with the stress of his mortality, and he begins to act out. While hosting a lavish party at his mansion, Tony dons his heroic suit and begins drunkenly shooting into a crowded room, endangering everyone. The party scene does a great job of showing how low Tony has fallen, and doubles as a reminder of the dangers of the suit if it falls into the wrong hands. Up to this point in the film, the concern has been about the government and using the technology for selfish purposes. But Tony is demonstrating his own concern by operating the suit while intoxicated. On the upside, Tony's drunken actions lead to Rhodey grabbing a suit that will one day become a war machine. So there's a silver lining to every misstep.
Trust me on this one, okay?
You're out of control,
It's time
gorgeous.
to go to bed. It's time.
Give me a little
You're not
snack.
gonna be happy.
Come on, you know you want
You
to.
just keep the suit.
Number 9. Nick Fury in Captain America.
Want to see my lease?
The Winter Soldier, Captain America learns that Nick Fury has been working on Project Insight, which is the creation of 3 weaponized helicarriers with devastating destructive powers. The terrorist organization, Hydra, has slowly gotten to all branches of government and security. And with Project Insight completed, they will be able to use the weapons to start a reign of control, using the helicarriers to enforce their rule. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, still remains one of the best entries in the MCU. And it's due to painting characters the audience has grown to love. Although Captain America is the ultimate patriot, Steve Rogers disapproves of what his government is doing in the name of security, and he stands against it. Fury isn't a villain in the situation, but his actions start a conversation about unchecked power and how much disclosure should be present for weapons of a large scale.
Rogers, we gathered everything related to the Tesseract. This does not mean that we're
sorry,
making...
Nick. What were you lying?
Number 8. Tony Stark with the creation of Ultron.
Have you been juicing? A little vibranium cocktail? You're looking, I don't want to say puffy.
Age of Ultron could have been about the team having the best party ever if Tony Stark hadn't decided to create the evil robot Ultron in secret. When an Avengers mission leaves them in possession of Loki's scepter, Tony discovers a way to harness the power to create the ultimate defense force against alien threats, Ultron. However, Ultron determines humans are the biggest threat to Earth and begins a plan to erase all humans from the planet. There's a recurring theme of how often Tony is the source of his own problems, often assuming he knows more than everyone else and impulsively launching a crusade. Bruce Banner voices his concerns about playing with powers they might not fully understand. But Tony's an influential guy, and they work on Ultron without telling the team. Tony knows 100% that the other Avengers would shoot down the idea, So his misleading tricks made him a bad team member and the architect of a threat that ended countless lives.
Well, that is the mission. Did you forget?
Number 7, Nick Fury manipulation on the team.
Guess he never did get you to sign them.
In the game-changing first team up for the MCU, when Loki kills Agent Coulson in an escape from an SHIELD holding cell. Afterward, Nick Fury shows the team bloody Captain America cards that Coulson had on him when he died. As the heroes suit up and take off to confront Loki, Maria Hill privately challenges Fury's story, saying the cards were in Coulson's locker. Fury justifies his actions by saying they needed the push. Fury will remain near the top of the list of the most morally gray heroes in the MCU, whose paranoia and deception have kept him at the top of his game, but also leaving him a bit of a wild card. The one thing fans can guarantee about the former SHIELD director is that he's always on the side of good, but his methods of reaching his goals are needlessly complicated. Rather than ruin some vintage cards with blood, Fury could have just asked them nicely to fight Loki.
And then to be reminded what real power is.
Number 6, Peter Parker, No Way Home.
Hi. Hi?
When Quentin Beck uses his last moments to reveal to the world that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, the world collapses around the young hero. The newfound attention damages his chances of attending his school of choice, and the people around him suffer through guilt by association. Wanting to make the problem go away, Peter asks Doctor Strange to cast a spell, making the world forget Spider-Man's secret identity. When Peter complicates the spell with numerous demands, he accidentally invites Spider-Man's greatest villains from all universes to team up against him. The movie does a brilliant job of reinventing the concept of with great power comes great responsibility in an unexpected way. The consequences of attempting to tamper with the minds of innocent people will forever haunt Peter. But it's also a defining moment for Spider-Man in the MCU when he steps up to face the consequences. Even after facing world-ending threats, Peter has a lot to learn about being a hero. And it's that journey of discovery that makes him one of the most endearing Marvel characters.
Did it work?
No. You changed my spell 6 times.
5 times.
You changed my spell. You don't do that. I told you, and that is why.
Number 5. In Eternals, MCU fans learn that a group of immortal, godlike beings have existed on Earth since the dawn of humankind. Although they are tasked with removing a specific threat, the monstrous deviants, they are otherwise instructed not to interfere with conflicts so as not to disrupt the evolution of civilization. This is the explanation of why a group of overpowered individuals did not offer their services when Thanos ripped through Earth's defenses. The film does its best to explain why the Eternals did not involve themselves in the major battles of the MCU, but the scale of the conflict in Avengers, Infinity War and Avengers. Endgame is too important to sit out. While the film is not nearly as bad as the reputation it holds, at least they have amazing fighting scenes. This sticking point of their inactivity during the worst crisis possible is always going to be problematic for their story. The Eternals only take action once they find out their true purpose, but they would have watched the world burn without learning the truth. Number 4. This one is quite funny, but we have to put it on the list. Deadpool using Nice Pool as a human shield.
After miss! After miss! I think it's been steadily great since Endgame.
It might be unfair to include Deadpool considering his track record, but the scene from Deadpool and Wolverine is too funny not to mention. Near the end of the film, when Deadpool and Wolverine face off against an army of Deadpool variants, Wade grabs Nice Pool and uses him to deflect Lady Pool's Uzi rounds. Nice Pool can only smile as he takes the full brunt of Lady Pool's attack while Wolverine looks on in disgust. No one was accusing Wade of being a good guy. and he almost never gave them a reason to, but holding up Nicepool, one of the only characters trying to help him to use as a human shield, was not a heroic moment for Deadpool. In his defense, Deadpool didn't know Nicepool couldn't regenerate, so it wasn't his intention to kill him. But once the damage was done, Deadpool decided to make the most out of it with an extended use of Nicepool's body for one last round of defense.
Say it!
I'm gonna live.
I'm gonna live!
Number 3. Hawkeye becoming a murderous vigilante. When the blip happens at the end of Avengers, Infinity War, numerous loved ones disappear in an instant, including the wife and children of Clint Hawkeye Barton. The loss sends Clint onto a dark path, dropping his Hawkeye persona to become the vigilante Ronin. As Ronin, Clint ruthlessly hunts and kills any surviving criminals without mercy, only stopping when the Avengers recruit him in an effort to reclaim those lost. It was necessary to show how the different heroes reacted to the loss, not only on the battlefield to Thanos, but in their personal lives. While the majority of the surviving Avengers did not have loved ones outside the core group, Clint's loss of his entire family breaks him in a way where his grief is channeled into a warped sense of righteous vengeance. With his family returned, Clint is now forced to carry the guilt of his actions going forward. Number 2. Tony Stark and Steve Rogers making questionable decisions in the Captain America Civil War franchise.
Did you know? I didn't know it was him.
Avengers, did you know?
The Civil War offers a plot that leaves the question of who is wrong or right up to the fans to interpret for themselves. The crimes of the Winter Soldier are numerous, but Captain America is willing to break the law in order to protect his friend, knowing he was brainwashed into committing the murders his captors required of him. Iron Man feels the Winter Soldier should still be forced to answer for his crimes, especially when Tony learns about a double murder that affects him personally. The escalating tensions between Iron Man and Captain America cause a great deal of collateral damage, from Rhodey becoming paralyzed to allies being hunted and imprisoned. No one wins in the situation because they are all being manipulated by Zemo, a widower who lost his family in the events of Avengers. Age of Ultron, which, as a reminder, is a tragedy Tony ultimately caused by creating Ultron. A highlight of poor decision-making would be Iron Man recruiting Spider-Man, a young teenager with no combat training, to enter a battle with experienced heroes.
Do you even remember them? I remember all of them.
Number 1. Scarlet Witch endangers every universe and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. In one of the most severe cases of a hero acting villainous, Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, becomes a threat to every universe in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange uses all of his magic power to stop a crazed Wanda from taking the powers of America Chavez, a young teenager who can travel between universes. If there was still debate about the Scarlet Witch's hero-villain association after WandaVision, the powerful magic wielder's hero card was revoked during Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Wanda's quest to find her children blinded her to right and wrong, and she carved a bloody trail through everyone in her way to find them. The entire movie sees Wanda as the villain, but watching her lethally dispatch the Illuminati, featuring Reed Richards and Professor X, leaves no doubt about how foregone she was.
Wanda, Black Bolt could destroy you with one whisper from his mouth.
What mouth? Even the greatest heroes have their dark moments. Whether it's crossing the line, making ruthless choices, or letting their power consume them, these moments prove that sometimes the difference between a hero and a villain is just one bad decision. What do you think? Were they justified, or did they go too far? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.